My name is Joel Furden, and I'm the Director of Library Services here at Stanley Community College. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the differences between primary and secondary sources. A primary source is a source that is an eyewitness or first-hand account, or getting as close to an eyewitness or first-hand account. And that can come in a couple of different forms. The first form is an actual interview or face-to-face interaction in which you get to speak or develop an interview with someone, but it also comes in the form of a written text. So it can be an autobiography, a memoir, something that is first-hand. And then you also have things such as maps, photographs, and statistical documents that are first-hand accounts that allow people evidence-based facts. So let's talk about secondary sources. A secondary source is any time a primary source is interpreted or discussed, especially on a scholarly level. And a good example of a secondary source is a biography, because a biography is when an author takes an autobiography, which is a primary source, and discusses it, or discusses the subject, the primary subject of that autobiography. Other very important secondary sources are scholarly journal articles, magazine articles, and also some newspaper articles that are discussing primary incidents and sources. You always want to keep in mind when a secondary source becomes a primary source. Take, for example, magazine articles. Magazine articles are considered secondary sources, but if you are looking at or using a magazine article that is historical, say from the 1920s, because of its age, it would be considered a primary source. And you also want to consider newspaper articles as well. Many newspaper articles are secondary sources. However, there are many that are first-hand accounts. And if it's a first-hand account, then it is going to be a primary source. So make sure that when you're doing your research papers and you're citing, you're keeping these things in mind. Also, just because something is a book does not mean that it is a secondary source. Books can be both secondary and primary sources as well. This has been Joel Furden, Director of Library Services. If you ever need help with anything, please stop by and see me at the Learning Resources Center in the Snyder Building. And always visit stanley.edu/library.